Hi there, I'm Dr. Ray Marsh, All Pets Animal Hospital. We're in Peoria, Arizona. We're just south of the intersection of 83rd Avenue and Thunderbird. We tolerate the heat far better than our pets do. We have sweat glands. We pant too, but mostly it's body surface. For the dog, they will pant, they will drool, and that's how they're going to exhibit their cooling. They do not sweat, and so their whole body surface doesn't dissipate heat as well as we do. First, recognize that you should be on alert. If you've got a dog and you're out in the heat, you got to be ready for trouble. If you have a breed that has a very short face, like a bulldog, those guys do not breathe well to start with. So if you put them in a situation where they have to pant, they've got a poor airway, they're not breathing well, they can't dissipate heat as well, and they're going to be in trouble much more rapidly than if you had a Labrador. And so they don't, that's one thing. If you have a breed, let's say, that has a long hair coat, you've got a Husky out here, he is not going to dissipate heat like a Labrador would with a shorter coat, or a Chihuahua. If you have a dog that is overweight, oh, they do not do well in the heat. If you look and pet your dog on the back and he is flat like a tabletop, he's too heavy. If you put your hand in the middle of his chest and you can't feel his ribs, he's too heavy. So he is at increased risk for being overheated in our climate. The color of the coat makes a difference. If you've got a light colored dog versus a black dog, it's just like getting in a white car versus a black car. They do not tolerate the heat as well. They get in trouble faster. When it's 115, everybody around here starts getting cautious. However, I see dogs with heat strokes when they're in the 90s. So once it starts getting in the 90s, you got to be careful. Once you get over 100, that's not a good situation. There are some breeds that are driven. If you take a Jack Russell or some of the working hunting breeds, well, those guys will go until they drop. And so you have to take their mental attitude. Now, there's some dogs that are going to go, I'm not walking any further, I'm sitting in the shade. But there's some breeds that will just go and go and go as long as they can. Don't work them too hard. Recognize that they could be in trouble. A young dog is more likely to get in trouble than a mature dog, as long as he's healthy, because the young dog is going to go, go, go also. That doesn't matter what breed it is. The puppies are really going, so you have to watch them. From my standpoint, if you're going to go for a walk, you need to go first thing in the morning. The reason we're doing that is, at my house this morning, it was in the 80s. It's going to be over 110 this afternoon. People usually want to go to work, come home at the end of the day, and take their dog to a walk when the sun goes down. Well, if you put your hand on the pavement and the sun's down, it's still, if it's too hot for your hand to touch, it's too hot for them to be out on. It's still over 100 once the sun's gone down here. They are still at risk, and they shouldn't be out. So if you're prime time for walking, early in the morning before it gets hot. That's about the only choice, because at the end of the day, not so good. Well, theoretically, if the dog sits quietly in the shade and he's got plenty of water and he's used to being out in the heat and he's not a dog that's going to run around, there's nothing to get him all wound up, he might be right, and that's okay. That would not be my preference. They can put in a evaporative cooler. They can have ceiling fans under the patio. They can have misters like the restaurants do. Or they can have a doggy door and let him come inside in the air conditioning, which is probably best case scenario. If you have a dog that might be destructive and you don't want him loose in the house, get a kennel, put it up, fasten it to the doggy door so he can come inside to the doggy door, be inside the air conditioning, but not have free access to the house. That'll accomplish him being safe and comfortable and your house being in one piece when you come home. I think dogs in pools are great. If you get started with a dog in a pool, you need to be sure that he's going to be able to swim and take care of himself. You need to be sure that he can find the steps and get out. Not all dogs can swim. don't go home and just put him in the pool and toss him in and expect him to take off. Some dogs will, but some dogs won't, and then he's scared of it forever. If you get a young dog, a new puppy, what I'd do is take one adult, put him by the stairs, take one adult, put him in the pool, and then hold the puppy and let him be 6 inches away from the folks. Whoever's on the stairs, call him, let him swim to you. Then take him a foot away, let him swim to the person on the stairs. Then take him over here, and then over there. And just gradually work your way out. Don't scare him, make him have fun, tell him what a good dog he is, and be sure that he can find the stairs no matter what. I would put a bright visual cue by the stairs while he's learning. So if he's down at pool level with his eyes sticking out and he's looking around, he can't see much. Give him a visual object to go to. Once he learns how to jump in and swim and find everything, then you're good. If you happen to have an older dog that you'd like to swim, and as a younger dog he was swimming vigorously and now he's older and he can't, I'd recommend there's a brand of life jacket for dogs called Ruffwear. That brand is good because you can adjust it nicely so they can't slip out of it. If you get him used to swimming in the Ruffwear life jacket, he can swim easily, not have to work at it, so he can swim more, take his time, get more time in the pool. When he's swimming, he's working his joints through a full range of motion with no load on him. So if you've got an arthritic dog that's having trouble, but he needs to keep his strength up, swimming in the pool is great. And I think if I were here in Arizona and I had a pool sitting right there, it'd be a tragedy if I was afraid to get in it. If I fell in accidentally because one of the other dogs hip checked me into the pool, I'd want to be sure that he could find his way to the stairs and get out on his own. If you happen to have a small dog and a big step from the swimming pool, build a step up so the small dog can get out easily and he's not hanging in there. And go up to Lake Pleasant. If you're in a pool and you've never been in it, the dog looks at that as a cliff and he's stepping off into nothing that he doesn't recognize. If you go out to Lake Pleasant and you go to the quiet part of the lake, you walk along parallel to the shore, the lake's muddy, he can see it, he's not looking at nothing. Let him walk along, take a toy, play with him along the shoreline, and then just gradually walk deeper until he learns that he's buoyant and he can take off swimming. If he learns to play out there, then when he comes home he may learn to play and recognize the pool as a good thing, not a scary thing. What I will generally do if I'm going to take my own dogs out, I'm going to give them a nice drink of cold water before we ever start. And they like cold water, so I'm going to get them hydrated first. The second thing I'm going to do is if I take my dogs out and we're going for a reasonable walk, I'm going to carry a backpack and I'm going to carry insulated thermoses, and so I'm going to carry, these are full of ice water. The dogs get to drink before I do. But that way, if you're out there getting hot, you go ahead and give them a cold drink along the walk. You do it multiple times and that helps keep them cool. That's what we're looking for. One of the things that I've come on to that I think might be valuable for folks is this is like a Camelback hydration pack that you can keep in your backpack. The advantage of it, this is a different brand, the advantage is it's got a double bladder on it, and so on a Camelback you take the little tube and you suck water out. On this one you can pump it up so there's pressure, and now you can spray your dog with cool water. So that helps. If you're out, he might be in a little trouble, give him a cold drink, get him wet, and then get home. I would encourage you to find where the closest emergency animal clinic is to you before you ever go out. Know where it is, drive by and find it so you're not looking for it in a crisis. And then your first step is, if the dog's in trouble, you get him wet, you get him cool, you get him under a fan. There's kind of a little idiosyncrasy with dogs, and I gather with people also. If you use ice and ice water to get him cold, you may take the blood vessels, make them contract too fast, and now you can actually cause a problem with clotting. And so you want to use cool water, you want to use fans, but you don't want to dump them in ice water. That's safer for them. The emergency clinics, once you get to a hospital, they're probably going to want to plug in an intravenous drip. They're probably going to want to monitor some lab work. And sometimes the damage from this can come as late as hours afterwards. And this is very potential to be a life-threatening situation depending on how high the temperature went and how long they were hot. But you're best off to be cautious and not get in trouble in the first place. If we can avoid going into harm's way, that's a whole lot better than trying to do any treatment.